There have been stories of unusual objects in the sky throughout recorded history. However, since the development of space travel following World War II, these sightings have been far more frequent and have become almost synonymous with potential alien visitors. Within the past 8 decades, since the dawn of the space age, there have been thousands of UFOs spotted, but some stand up to scrutiny better than others. This is Unveiled, and today we're exploring 4 of the most credible UFO claims ever recorded. Do you need the big questions answered? Are you constantly curious? Then why not subscribe to Unveiled for more clips like this one, and ring the bell for more thought-provoking content. First, to the New Jersey Turnpike, where traffic was famously brought to a standstill around midnight in the middle of July 2001, when more than 75 drivers pulled over to the side of the road to stare at a particular set of yellow and orange lights. These lights had appeared over a nearby river, quietly and innocuously hanging in a V-shape, amazing observers for some 15 minutes before disappearing in a flare-like whoosh. Witnesses, including a local police lieutenant, Daniel Tarrant, were left bewildered as to what could have produced the lights, which had acted in such an unusual way. But when an inquiry was made to local air traffic control, they put out a statement claiming that no planes had been in the area that night. With the most straightforward theories discredited then, reports say that some turned to a local meteorologist for an alternative explanation. But still, they couldn't determine a cause to account for the lights. Nobody, it turned out, could offer even the beginnings of an answer for what more than 75 people had witnessed firsthand. At least that was until a local group known as the New York Strange Phenomenon Investigators, or NY-SPY for short, conducted their own investigation and claimed to have unearthed evidence that directly contradicted the claims of the air traffic controllers. According to the NY-SPY report, there had been a Federal Aviation Administration radar report that night, which had indicated an enormous number of airborne objects in the area between 10:31 p.m. and 12:51 a.m. So what gives? Was this a blatant cover-up, or could there be a simpler, less sinister explanation? Ultimately, whether you believe the NY-SPY report or not, one thing is certain. A vast number of witnesses definitely saw something floating over the river that night, and no one can really explain what it was. Our second example today was also reportedly witnessed by a number of people. In fact, it comes from what may be one of the most crowded places on Earth, O'Hare International Airport in Chicago at rush hour. According to reports in the Chicago Tribune, it was approximately 4:30 p.m. on November 7, 2006, when a ramp employee directing a United Airlines flight out to the runway first spotted a flying object silently hovering over a nearby gate. After informing the plane's crew of the incident over radio, soon several more workers at the airport had rushed out to see the object for themselves, with eventual witnesses ranging from pilots to supervisors, as well as many of the passengers awaiting their flight. Afterwards, they variously described the object as being a gray saucer between 6 and 24 feet long. The UFO reportedly remained stationary over the gate for around 5 minutes before shooting upwards in a burst of acceleration, punching an oval-shaped hole in the cloud cover above. This was already weird and unexpected, but when the FAA radar reports were consulted and no anomalous activity had been detected, meaning that no official investigation into the object was conducted, it got even stranger. Instead of investigating, the FAA reportedly dismissed the incident as a common weather phenomenon, with that claim being supported by a Dr. Mark Hammergren, an astronomer at nearby Adler Planetarium. Nevertheless, the O'Hare sighting remains one of the most debated UFO events in recent times. While our next sighting doesn't quite have as many eyewitnesses to back it up, it does come from arguably an even more credible source, the U.S. Navy. For weeks leading up to this incident, in 2004, the crew of the USS Princeton had been tasked with the mission of tracking mysterious objects that had been recently spotted off the California coast. Objects that were said to hover at about 80,000 feet before plummeting to just above the Pacific Ocean in less than a second. With no way to account for this bizarre technology or speed, the crew needed to get a closer look at the objects themselves. And so when one of them was finally tracked down at around 100 miles from the shore on November 14, 2004, the Navy knew that it had to act fast. A closer ship, the USS Nimitz, was quickly sent to the scene, and 2 fighter jets were immediately dispatched. Upon arrival at the location of the unknown craft, the jets reportedly came to an area where the ocean swirled and where a tic-tac-shaped something was floating just above. According to the accompanying military report, clear conditions meant unlimited visibility, so there's little suggestion of the sighting being a mistake. Rather, one of the pilots, Commander Dave Fravor, has spoken at length about what he witnessed across multiple interviews. According to him and to supporting statements made by another pilot witness, Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich, the object was about the same size as the jets they were flying, and it closely mimicked their movements. It didn't appear to have wings or an engine, but it was powerful. Then, when Fravor attempted to close the gap between his plane and it, the object seemingly disappeared, only to reappear on the USS Princeton's radar almost 60 miles away, just a few seconds later. The object had apparently instantly accelerated and traveled at multiple times the speed of sound to get to its new location. While the video of this incredible interaction has circulated online since 2007, it only received mainstream attention when it was leaked by the New York Times in 2017. Since then, the video has become one of 3 UFO sightings officially confirmed by the Pentagon in April of 2020. And while it's not confirmed whether the origins of the Tic Tac craft are alien or not, whoever it does belong to seemingly has technology that's far superior to the US. It's little wonder then that this particular case has made so many news headlines. Finally, of course not all UFO sightings take place in the US, and so we're headed across the Atlantic and to the south coast of the UK. In April 2007, a small commercial airplane was piloted by one Captain Ray Bowyer across the English Channel. The route was one which Bowyer had traveled many times before, but this time he came across something unexpected. According to Bowyer, and to several supporting accounts by passengers on the flight, the plane came within close proximity of 2 apparently stationary, definitely huge UFOs. At his upper estimate, Bowyer guessed that they may have been as big as a mile wide. According to the pilot's account, these objects were long and thin and emitting a brilliant yellow light. They were situated around 4,000 feet above sea level in an open and clear space between a low layer of haze below at 2,000 feet and heavy cloud cover above at 10,000 feet. It wasn't only the occupants of the plane that witnessed these mysterious objects, though, with sightings also reported from the ground on the nearby Channel Island of Sark. Bowyer contacted local air traffic control while nervously approaching the yellow visions in front of him, but they could only confirm that there were no other aircraft in the region. As such, exactly what the pilot and his passengers saw remains a mystery. Ultimately, they got to within around 15 miles of the object and witnessed them for around 15 minutes before descending to land. And although they did little more than glow, Bowyer has continually reiterated how out of place these UFOs were. It's just not something you expect to see while flying halfway between England and France, is it? Unlike many UFO sightings which are so often derided, these 4 claims all share some key commonalities that arguably help to maintain their credibility. They all occurred in a public setting, and they all had multiple eyewitnesses. And even when they had fewer witnesses, they've been validated by an official, authoritative source. What's more, they all lack any other confirmed explanation of what they were. And that's why, while we may never get a definitive picture for any of them, those are 4 of the most credible UFO claims ever recorded. What do you think? Is there anything we missed? Let us know in the comments. Check out these other clips from Unveiled, and make sure you subscribe and ring the bell for our latest content.